Welcome to the Texas Values Report. This is Jonathan Saenz, president of Texas Values. Great to be with you on a glorious week in the state of Texas. This is the first week of the Texas legislative session. In case you missed it, there was high drama earlier this week, but that's always the case anytime there's a legislative session. Now, this one started with a little bit more interest, I think it's fair to say, than ones before, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that in just a minute. So today we're going to cover some big topics, though. The first week of the legislative session, one big vote, what we're going to be doing moving forward. Also, President Trump is being sworn in as our 47th president of the United States next Monday. I will be on the ground. I'll be in the audience. I don't know exactly where yet. I'm trying to figure that out, but I do have an official ticket. I'm going to be there for the swearing-in ceremony, and I'll be at the Black Tie and Boots Ball on Sunday night, the night before, and I think I'm going to be at a different inaugural ball on Monday night. So we'll have some social media updates on that, but if you're going to be there, look out for me, and I'll look out for you as well. And I don't know how I decided to do this, but I'm taking my 3 teenage children with me, and my mother's coming. It's going to be quite the adventure, but a historic moment. And so I'm glad that my family and myself individually can be a part of that. So I'll have a lot to say about that when I come back, and maybe a little bit on this show. But as you know, we talk about the issues of faith, family, and freedom in the arenas of the courts, the legislature, and the media. And Texas was taking center stage this week, there's no doubt, with the beginning of our Texas legislative session. So we've got a great guest today to tell us a little bit about that. And he is certainly a veteran of the Texas legislature, the Texas House specifically. Representative James Frank was elected for House District 69 in the North Texas area in 2012, and he's served the people from that area well since then. And we're going to talk a little bit about the Speaker of the House issue, because at one point he was in the mix for that, declaring as a candidate, but it all came down to a vote earlier this week. But a lot more to talk about as we get rolling with this legislative session. Representative Frank, welcome to the Texas Values Report.
Thanks, Jonathan. Great to be here. Look forward to the time.
Absolutely. Well, look, it was good to see you at the Capitol on the first day of 140 days. As many people are familiar with, the Texas legislature meets every other year. It's in odd years, and it goes for about 5 months, specifically 140 days. And that's what our Constitution says and requires. Sometimes there are special sessions, as you know, but that is
hopefully just 5 months.
Yeah, that's just that's the regular session amount of time. But certainly enough time to get good things done for the good people of the state of Texas. But tell us a little bit about your district in that area. I know you're very well accomplished in the area of business. You got a wonderful family. I met your son in your office this week, Hickson, who
one of 6.
Yeah, who's going to be close near you. As a matter of fact, I have a member of my family that's interning, extended member of my family that's interning at the Capitol this year as well. But tell us a little bit about your district and why you decided to run for office, and why all this matters to you to be serving the great people in North Texas.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Yeah, I live in Wichita Falls. That's represent the folks around there. We represent 200,000 people. About 150,000 of them are around the Wichita Falls area. Kind of those 3 counties that Wichita Falls is in. It's kind of in the corner. So, and then I've got 11 other counties. So there's about 200,000 people. So really all the way out, almost not quite to Lubbock, but a lot of West Texas. 44 different school districts and 200,000 people. It's great. I've lived there for a long time, and we love it. My wife and I. She's born and raised there. I moved there when I was 13. And so, you asked about why we got to running. You mentioned business. At some point, you say how much bigger do you want to get, and what should you be doing? And had some things I wanted to do in the political arena. Most of the stuff I wanted to do was really done at the state level. That is, if you don't want to run for Congress, which then you can't do the business stuff. Yeah. So that's kind of how we got going.
Well, and I also know you're a proud graduate of Texas A&M University, and we got to figure out who we're going to root for the College Football National Championship on Monday, because neither one of our teams are in the Final 2, even though my team was in the Final 4. We'll talk football another day. The Longhorns aren't in, the Aggies aren't in, but you got Notre Dame and Ohio State. That'll be fun to see how that plays out. But I know, listen, there's important business to get to. I know you served on the board of Texas Homeschool Coalition. The parental rights issues have been very important to you. You've taken a lot of leadership on those. But the first vote of the legislative session was at the Speaker of the House. And I know that's behind us, but it is the big news of this week. You had taken a position of supporting David Cook. The vote went 2 rounds. Eventually, Dustin Burrows was elected Speaker of the House, and he has taken over that position. Noteworthy that the majority of Republicans supported David Cook, but Dustin Burrows was able to swing Democrats on his side. Tell us why you decided to support David Cook, but what that matters and where we are now as we move forward.
Well, I mean, I had always, really from the jump, always said I was going to support whoever wins the Republican caucus. It was why me and a number of others felt like Speaker Phelan could not continue, because it was clear that he could not win the majority of caucus of the Republican caucus. And at the end of the day, people have given Republicans in the state a majority, and I feel like we should try to govern that way. And so, really, my support for David is because he's a great guy, but it's really because he won the Republican caucus. And I felt like that's what we ought to do. And so, it didn't work out. I'm not thrilled about that. At the same time, I think, Dustin Burrows is a conservative guy. He has carried many great conservative bills. The proof is going to be in the pudding in terms of what we're able to deliver. I know I'm going to do everything I can. I think, hopefully everybody else is going to do whatever we can to deliver conservative results. But, certainly he's got a lot of pressure on him to live up to with the way that he was able to win the speakership.
Well, look, and you've got the lieutenant governor out there who's expressing some concern, to say the least. He obviously was supporting the Republican caucus winner and nominee, the House Republican caucus winner, David Cook, heavily. Attorney General Paxton was very vocal in going around the state with RPT, Republican Party of Texas Chairman Abraham George, trying to continue to draw attention to that issue and draw support for the House Republican caucus winner, which was David Cook. And the votes happened, but there are a lot of people that are still concerned. There's obviously work to do in front of us, but I do think that's going to linger a little bit. But you're right, Dustin Burrows and Speaker Burrows now has an opportunity, though, to demonstrate that Republicans can have confidence in him, that it's not going to be a difference between whether it was Cook or him, that he's going to follow and he's going to advocate and support Republican priorities. And I think that will go a long way for people to go, okay, maybe we can move past this. But you're right, the proof will be in what he ends up doing. I do think that it's legitimate for people to have some of that concern considering
Absolutely.
Democrats having such a role in this outcome.
I think there is no question there is reason to be concerned, but I think there is also at least some reason to be optimistic. But again, we will see. We got 140 days, and we are where we are. I know you will do everything you can to make sure we have conservative victories. I'm going to do the same.
Well, and look, our organization's always been focused on the issues. So whether we're supporting or showing, some backing or whatever, or suggesting people should support this speaker or this candidate or that candidate, it always revolves around where they are on the issues. And so that's what I'm hoping to see. I mean, that's what the legislative session's about. It is about focusing on the issues, getting good things done for the people of the state of Texas. And so I'm hoping we see those outcomes. And there was a schedule of a floor vote today on the House rules, and it looks like there's been a little bit of disagreement on some of those things. I'd love for you to share a little bit of detail on why that didn't happen today, but it's being postponed to next week.
Yeah, the housekeeping rules, which are usually fairly quick and non-controversial, as opposed to what we were going to do on Wednesday, which the bigger rules. I think the speaker just decided to put them all on Wednesday. I think there was a number of issues that they did not have worked out, and I think honestly, my guess is the speaker wants to try to work as much of this out behind the scenes with as little vitriol as possible. I think honestly, having some separation between the speaker vote and the emotions of it and the first few battles of session, I think is probably wise. I think probably a lot of people do need the weekend to kind of recover. And I also think that trying to work out some of those issues beforehand is helpful.
That's very diplomatic of you. And I agree, though. I'm serious, though. I agree with you, because that is, look, we're human people, right? So people were still upset about that. It was Tuesday. I like to say, I like to think this is going to be a spirited session. Not that, they all are, but it certainly has a little bit more to it starting off this time around.
And Jonathan, you and I both know there's not really any debate on the House floor.
Yeah.
There are speeches given on the House floor. They're very rare that there's genuine debate on the House floor between issues. There's posturing, pontificating. The actual real discussions happen, face to face with people. And yeah, I'm not saying it never. I don't mean to overstate that. There are times when there's very good debate, but most of that stuff is not for debate. It's for show.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned that, because I was speaking to a group on Sunday night, which I don't often, get involved in work stuff on Sunday night, but I made the exception since it was First Baptist Dallas, and we really like Pastor Jeffers a lot, but our good friend Ann Hettinger heads up a group there, and it was about what's going to happen this session. So I literally was physically demonstrating sort of what happens on the House floor primarily, because, there's even less of some of that debate, as you talked about, on the Senate floor. But it just so happened that I was in front of a podium speaking on a stage, and right below me was one microphone, and then about 15, 20 feet away from it was another. It looked just like what the House would be like, and I was like, I'm at the speaker's podium or the dais, and then down there are these two, and I was running around. Anyway, so But I think you make a good point. Let people kind of catch their breath, cool off, whatever, refocus. And I don't know what was all going on because I wasn't at the Capitol earlier today. I had members of our team there, but I know there was some discussion about whether or not the House was going to have an attorney that was in specific positions. Whatever the details are, I think you make a good point. Let's get it all together next week. Let's get organized. The Senate is already saying they're organized, and maybe people can get on the same page and come to an agreement. Because I do.
Well, I think
go ahead.
I think it's important to understand when you talk about organizing and how fast the Senate gets organized. The lieutenant governor is chosen by all the people in Texas and knows that he's, they know they're in charge. Regardless of what you think about how Dustin became speaker, he only knew 2 days ago. I mean, obviously he had some of this planned out, hoping he would win speaker, but he really, given the fact that, literally had 71 votes in the first round, he didn't know that he knew until then. So there is in our Constitution some time to get organized.
No, I think that's a good point. And that's entirely accurate. A lot of people didn't realize that through this process that, how does the Speaker of the House get elected? And, the Lieutenant Governor's on the ballot. Do we have a role in this? So I think people have learned a lot through this process, and we've worked really hard, too, to educate people about the process, whether they're on the same page with us or not, to come away with this having a better understanding and awareness of the process works. And I do think that's something new we've seen over the past 4 to 6 years. Particularly grassroots Republicans are becoming more and more educated with a lot of the details of what's working, the inner workings, if you will, of the Texas House and the Texas
Senate. I think
that's
important because I am amazed often at how many people spend a tremendous amount of time on politics and don't understand how it actually works.
Yeah.
Can't tell you how many people, how long the session is, how many people are in the House, how many people in the Senate have not thought through what happens when you actually can't get to 76. How would you do that? Those kind of things are really important because I think the more people understand, sometimes the less frustrated they will get.
Yeah, look,
sometimes.
I was making comments about this on Tuesday that this will be 20 years. That in January this week it was 20 years that I've now been involved in this. 2005 was actually the first time I came to the Texas Capitol. It was not in January. It was later in the session. But I've seen a lot. And you have too. This is the first time I've seen a speaker vote go to this point, and also, but it allowed people to get more engaged. So I'm glad that there's so many people in Texas that care about this issue. Let's talk, about the legislative session overall. But let's get into a couple of issues that I know you care about. Parental rights is always big and something that you've been involved in. You and I have interacted, the school choice. Talk to us about some work you're going to be doing this session that you care about.
Yeah, so, you mentioned the parental rights. Senator Hughes and I just filed companion bills to codify parental rights in the Texas Constitution. It's not actually there. There's common law that gives us the rights that we have. Obviously, God gives us the rights that we have, and government hopefully doesn't mess it up. But we're working on that. That does require a constitutional amendment. So that's something we're working on with Senator Hughes's office. The school choice, or I call it parental choice, because really
education freedom. How about that?
Education freedom, parental choice, that we want every parent to have options of what is best for their kid, which kind of goes to the parental rights, but it's the educational side of it. As I say, wealthy people already have parental choice or school choice, but not everybody does. And I think we need
I
to make
might
sure
pivot on you a little bit on that. Sacrificial.
please.
As a parent of a private school student, sacrificial parent. There are some wealthy. There's also some sacrificial. Just having fun with you a little bit there, though.
No, absolutely. No, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, everybody's definition of wealthy is different, right? But,
But you make
yeah,
a good
so
point. And I want to mention something too. I didn't think about this until I saw someone comment about this yesterday because of the Speaker of the House vote and the fact that it was actually a process there, whereas before it's usually a formality or some challenger gets one or two votes. It extended the day. Governor Abbott never addressed the House, which is usually a part of the first day. We know the school choice issue is got to be the top, if not the one of the top priorities. It's going to probably be emergency item again, and he's all in on this.
Yeah, he absolutely. I've never seen it. I've been here 12 years. This is starting my 13th. Never seen a governor be all in on an issue. And I've served under Perry and Abbott, and there've been great leadership in both of those. But in terms of all in politically, have not ever seen it. And with obviously the lieutenant governor being big on it as well, I think that now, and with what happened in the Republican primaries, we have the votes for it. So now it's going to be delivering a quality bill that can be well implemented.
Well, and there are aspects of the parental rights issue that relate to school choice. I was trying to tell this group at First Baptist Dallas some of the big overall arching issues. One way or another, education, parental rights, sort of together or separate, however you want to think about it. Those are going to be some of the biggest sort of overwhelming, top level topics this session in a variety of ways, but certainly as it relates to school choice, and a lot of that comes down from the governor. I tell people all the time, if the governor's in favor of your bill and he's talking about it, your chances go up tremendously of getting that passed and certainly getting signed. By the way, Governor Abbott tweeted about the Ten Commandments bill that died in the House last year, passed the Senate. Hopefully we'll see that get done. Let me switch gears for just a second before I lose you too. I mentioned I'm going to be at the inauguration on Monday. President Trump is being sworn in as the 47th president of the United States. Certainly a friend to Texas in many ways on a variety of issues. I think it's fair to say that him being in the White House allows Texas to be in a stronger position to get things done during this legislative session and maybe sort of working together. What do you think?
No, without a doubt, and really on multiple fronts. Obviously, on the border, we're spending billions of dollars a year that hopefully the federal government can do, and we can redeploy that either back to people or to handle other state needs. But it also means we're able to be a little bit more offense instead of on defense. We have to spend a bunch of legislative time sometimes playing defense with the federal government, and hopefully we won't be spending any time playing defense this session.
No, I agree with you. And, President Trump's talked about being a supporter of school choice. He was also on the campaign, talked a lot about the Save Women's Sports issue. We're going to get into some aspects of privacy as it relates to that and protecting women. That vote was taken in Congress this week. We'll see what the Senate does on that issue. We've already handled that issue. You've been a part of that support as well in Texas, but there are certain aspects of that I think people still want to make sure are addressed as we move forward. But we're just at the beginning. We didn't even have a week under our belt in the legislative session, but I think there's an increase of interest. We see this maybe sort of building. We've got some important work to do in the next, what do we have left? 137 days, if you will, to come up. And so we'd love to have you back on the show again. We know there are issues that you're going to lead on that we're going to care about: parental rights, school choice, and things of that nature. And this is just the beginning. It always takes another, several rounds and to make sure people understand the issues. So we appreciate you being on and helping people understand it. And we appreciate your leadership.
Yeah, if I can close, I'm going to do a plug for y'all. Really, you probably don't mind me closing with a plug for y'all, but when I think about the women's sport, Save Women's Sports issue, that is something I think you mentioned to me 6 years ago for the first time. Maybe it was 8 years ago. It was multiple sessions ago, and I think me and others were like, "Huh? Is this an issue? Really? Is this happening?" And through your leadership and others like y'all. I think that had a significant play in the presidential race this year. And sometimes it's easy in politics to get frustrated about the losses, but I think that's one where not only have we won on it politically, I think we are winning on it in the field of public opinion, that even Democrats are like, no, this doesn't make sense. And I think, you and other groups like you should take, don't get arrogant about it, but take pride in the fact that y'all were early on it. And a lot of times it does take time to educate members, to educate the people and all of that stuff. And I just look back and go, hey, that really had an impact, not just on bills that we passed, but I think on the presidential race.
Well, and I appreciate you saying that too, and we see that there are other pieces of this bigger topic of God created them male and female, the biological difference between male and women that could impact other issues. And the sports issue, I think, people understood more, but then it opened up their eyes to say, well, wait a minute, what's going on with that side or those group of people that are trying to ignore that? And there's a real issue of fairness and justice there. You had two Democrats, particularly
and
science, right?
You had party of science that can't define.
Yeah, you had two Democrats that voted in favor of that Save Women's Sports bill in the U.S. House
I promise
this week.
You had a lot more on the floor that wanted to.
Oh yeah, from Texas.
A lot of them just going, I can't believe where we are.
And I bet you many of them saw the election results. I think the school choice is very similar to that. You look at the life issue, many others, the transgender issues, the kids that are going through sex change transitions and so on, and our concerns about that and protecting our state law. A number of those issues I think you'll see hopefully allows your fellow members on the other side of the aisle to go, maybe I might, listen to see what the Republicans are doing and my constituents on this issue. And I'd be more than happy to see more of the things we work on get bipartisan support in the Texas House this session. We'll pray for that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thanks for your time.
You bet. And we're so glad and thankful that Representative James Frank has been our guest today on the Texas Values Report. Okay, I just have a few minutes left. And look, I was really enjoying being at the Capitol this week. I mean, I always enjoy it when I'm there. But I did have a little time to reflect it. Wow, it's been 20 years, 2 decades that I've been involved in this work. And I hope that people respect the fact that members like Representative James Frank, who's also been around a long time, they've seen a lot of different things happen. They understand sort of the entire field of play and all the rules to the game, and that it's not just one thing or the other. The speaker vote, very important. We said many times this is the most important vote that members are going to take this session, but it's not the only vote, right? So that vote is done, and I'm not disagreeing with people that still have concerns about it. I do as well, but it doesn't mean that we can't look forward and say, okay, now what are we going to do? And I think there could be some healthy attention, if you will, around Speaker Burrows and some of his supporters to hopefully confirm that they still care about the same issues, and there's really not a difference between the two, if you will, for particularly grassroots Republican voters and what they're expecting and hoping to get the priorities done and working together. And so I'm looking forward to that as well. We did put out a statement of congratulations to Speaker Burrows and also hoping that he will join Lieutenant Governor and Governor Abbott in supporting priorities on faith, family, and freedom during this state legislative session. But I'm going to be in D.C. on Monday. This is the first time that I've been to a presidential inauguration, and I'm super excited. There's some other details that I really don't want to talk about until I'm there, maybe Sunday or Monday. So watch our social media channels and mine personally for some really exciting updates on that I really can't confirm until I'm on the ground, but I'll just leave it at that. And but I'm taking my 3 teenage kids. I have a daughter who's a freshman in high school and a junior in high school, and then my son is a freshman in college. And so, they might miss a half day of school, but I would think it's excused because this is, whether you're on one side or another, the opportunity to attend a presidential inauguration could be once in a lifetime. I mean, I'm 51 years old. I've been involved in this on policy work for over 20 years, and this is the first time that I've been to one. I might not go to one again. We'll see. But the fact that I am going, super excited about it. A member of our team, Mary Elizabeth Castle, is going to be there as well. I bet a lot of our friends, our board member, Vince Puente is going to be there, and a lot of people from the state of Texas. I'm going to be at the Black Tie and Boots Ball. I imagine I'll see a lot of Texans there because it's put on by a Texas group. You don't have to be a Texan to go, but most of the people that attend are. And I did attend a presidential inaugural ball in 2017 when President Trump was first president, but I did not attend the swearing-in ceremony. So taking in all of the events and everything there, starting when I get up at like 3:30 in the morning on Sunday to catch that 5:30 flight. out to Ronald Reagan Airport. And so I got a long list of checklists that I need to get to before I head out the door. But, we're going to go in the second week of legislative session. As Representative Frank talked about, a very important vote on the rules. And you're going to hear us talk about more about some of the priorities that we have as an organization. Put this on your calendar. March 14th, Texas Faith and Family Day, one of the biggest events during the session for you to come. It's a free event. We're going to have lunch, all kinds of good stuff there. We want you to be a part of this event. You can come any day of the session, and we'll walk you through the process. We're the only faith and family organization that has someone at the Capitol every day during the legislative session. We are a block away from the Capitol, literally across the street. Our work is not possible without groups and supporters like Eagle Peak Shooting Range. Eagle Peak Shooting Range has been the sponsor for this segment of Texas Values Report. That's our good friend Jim Day. That is in the Cedar Park, Leander area. Also, Garland Public Shooting Range out in North Texas. Please go and exercise your Second Amendment rights, get training, and get all of your sharpness and your ability on the ability to use a firearm. Great friends out there. Garland Public Shooting Range and Eagle Peak Shooting Range here right in the Central Texas area. We are going to have a private event with elected officials in about a week and a half. We'll give you some updates on that. We're looking forward to that. We were at the Supreme Court this week. As you might have noticed, there was a Texas case on age verification for pornography sites in the state of Texas. We passed that law last session. Texas Values was a supporter of it. It's been challenged at the U.S. Supreme Court. Mayor Elizabeth Castle was there for that. Representative Matt Shaheen, it's his bill. He was there, and Attorney General Paxton supporting that law, and we think we'll have a good outcome at the U.S. Supreme Court, but we'll know by June. Listen, if you see value in our work, go to our website, TXVALUES.org. Please consider making that tax-deductible donation so we can continue to do the work we do for faith, family, and freedom. And we'll talk to you next week on the Texas Values Report.